Local budgets have been bloated beyond probably what we've seen in the mid-2000s. It's gotten that bad again because we are seeing some crazy things happen in the Bay Area right now. And when I say the Bay Area, I mean San Francisco and surrounding counties. The Bay Area's real estate market is collapsing in 2025, with over 28,000 homes sitting unsold as values slide and sellers yank listings at a record pace. A new report out this week shows that foreclosures are rising across the region. Last year, rents dropped in downtown San Francisco for the first time in years. Given the importance of this issue, we cannot afford further delay in moving this conversation beyond promises or generalities. The governor just convened an emergency legislative session to address a housing crisis that's pushing residents out and threatening the entire regional economy. This isn't the Bay Area you've been promised. I believe we can find our way through this complicated problem. The numbers staring back at agents, investors, and policymakers tell a story of panic retreat and a standoff that's freezing one of the most expensive markets in America into paralysis nobody saw coming. Home values are dropping in all of these areas as we speak. We're seeing some of the biggest declines we've seen in over a decade. Let me take you back to where this all started, because understanding the Bay Area's collapse requires seeing just how insane the boom really was. In 2020 and 2021, this market went absolutely nuclear as tech workers, wealthy investors, and institutional buyers flooded Northern California with cash, driving prices up by double digits year after year. The pandemic transformed the Bay Area from a regional tech hub into a national obsession, with buyers from across the country competing for properties they'd never even seen in person, wiring deposits based on virtual tours, and the promise that Bay Area real estate only goes up. You could see 4,200 home sales in the Bay Area metro in July 2025. That's down 58% from the peak 4 years ago. By 2022, the frenzy hit its peak, with only 8,500 homes available across the entire Bay Area region. A seller's paradise where inventory vanished within days and bidding wars erupted over every listing. Properties sold for 10%, 15%, sometimes 20% over asking as buyers waived inspections, offered all cash, and threw in personal letters begging sellers to choose them. The median home price in the region soared to $1.2 million, and everyone from developers to local officials celebrated the Bay Area as an unstoppable real estate powerhouse. What's happening is there's a competition, a race to the bottom by landlords who need to fill up their space and try to bring in some money to help them cover their monthly expenses. As this occurs, this forces some people into a situation where they no longer have the opportunity to rent it because the rent will not cover the monthly expense. So what do? They list the property for sale. What I'm about to tell you reveals just how violently that narrative has shattered. Fast forward to April 2025, and we're staring at 28,400 active listings haunting every brokerage office across the Bay Area. More than triple the inventory from just 3 years ago. Every neighborhood, from Pacific Heights to Palo Alto to Oakland, is now drowning in unsold properties. This isn't a seasonal blip. It's a sustained surge stretching across every property type. Single-family homes, luxury condos, new construction towers, and older buildings with no segment spared. People thought last year that it was going to be a disaster, but we're actually seeing it worsen year over year. Sales volume in July 2025 collapsed to just 2,100 closed deals, down 19% from 1 year earlier, while condo sales fell even faster, dropping more than 22%. The median condo price sits at $850,000, down over 6% year over year. And single-family homes in San Francisco dropped 3.2% to $1.4 million, marking the first sustained price decline since the last recession and shattering the confidence that propped up years of speculative buying. Here's where it gets really interesting. In July 2025, the Bay Area set a record that no agent wanted to advertise. For every 100 new homes listed, 63 were quietly pulled back off the market before ever finding a buyer. That 63 to 100 delisting ratio stands as the highest ever tracked for any major metro area in the country, nearly triple the national average and far above Austin at 39 or Denver at 32, revealing sellers choosing to withdraw rather than accept what buyers are willing to pay. Subscribe now and stay updated with the California market in real time. But the inventory crisis and price drops only tell part of the story. Because what's really destroying the Bay Area's market is a toxic combination of policy decisions, insurance chaos, and seismic safety requirements that have made homeownership financially impossible. After years of earthquakes and growing awareness of seismic vulnerability, California legislators passed sweeping safety mandates requiring seismic retrofits and full structural compliance for older buildings across the Bay Area. Rules designed to prevent future catastrophic failures during major earthquakes, but implemented with zero consideration for the financial devastation they would unleash on ordinary homeowners and condo owners. These new requirements triggered a wave of special assessments across San Francisco and surrounding counties that can only be described as brutal, with building associations hitting owners with bills for $80,000, $100,000, or even $150,000 per unit. One building near the Embarcadero dropped the news in February 2025. $120,000 per unit. Full payment required within 6 months. Within days, a dozen units hit the market, but most never found buyers because Fannie Mae started blacklisting buildings across San Francisco, refusing to back mortgages in any property. Where the association couldn't show full compliance with seismic standards and reserve funding. In zip code 94105, San Francisco South Beach and Rincon Hill, more than half the towers now face financing restrictions, which means cash buyers hold all the power while anyone needing a mortgage gets locked out entirely. With 19.3% of pending home sales in San Francisco falling through in March 2025, up from 16.8% a year earlier, buyers are running the numbers and walking away. San Francisco tried to help with a seismic retrofit assistance program offering loans up to $75,000, but the city paused the entire program in August 2025 after demand overwhelmed the system, leaving thousands of property owners stuck between impossible choices. Then there's the insurance crisis, which has transformed from an annoying cost into the single factor determining whether buyers can even consider Bay Area real estate. Policies that cost $1,800 annually in 2021 now routinely exceed $4,500, sometimes $8,000 for properties in fire-prone areas like the Oakland Hills, as carriers either flee California entirely or jack up premiums to reflect wildfire risk and earthquake exposure. For buyers trying to calculate monthly costs, a mortgage payment of $6,500, plus HOA fees of $800 to $1,500, plus insurance of $375 to $700 per month, adds up to $7,675 to $8,700 in total monthly outlays just to own a 2-bedroom condo, pricing out anyone earning less than $250,000 annually. What really concerns me is a capital flight happening as tech companies and institutional investors that fuel the Bay Area's boom are now dumping properties in bulk across San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose. Title records from the second quarter of 2025 show LLC after LLC offloading inventory and abandoning pre-construction contracts. In one new tower in Mission Bay, nearly 40% of pre-construction sales never made it to closing, with investors walking away from deposits rather than complete purchases on properties they knew they couldn't flip or rent for enough to cover carrying costs. For the first time since 2012, the Bay Area is experiencing net population outflow, with more people leaving than arriving. One family in Berkeley left after their monthly cost jumped $2,400 in less than a year. Another couple, both teachers, relocated to Sacramento after their building announced a $95,000 per unit seismic assessment. School enrollment is dropping in districts that scrambled to add capacity just 2 years ago. And even San Francisco's luxury towers show signs of stress, as units that once commanded waiting lists now sit empty month after month. The political reaction has been a mix of panic and emergency measures that may be too little, too late. The governor, who spent years celebrating California's real estate market, now faces a crisis threatening the entire Bay Area economy. In January 2025, he convened a special legislative session specifically to address the housing and seismic compliance crisis, acknowledging publicly that recent safety legislation resulted in unaffordable assessments pushing residents from their homes. But here's the problem. Legislation can't fix decades of deferred maintenance overnight, can't reverse the insurance market collapse driven by climate risk, and can't bring back the institutional capital that's already fled to markets offering better returns. The governor can convene all the emergency sessions he wants, but the structural problems run too deep. Aging buildings still need billions in seismic retrofits. Insurance carriers still won't write affordable policies in a state they view as high risk, and buyers still can't afford monthly costs that exceed what they'd pay to rent. The Bay Area's median home price dropped to $1.05 million by mid-2025, down from that peak of $1.2 million 3 years earlier, marking the first sustained year-over-year decline since the last recession. The correction is real. The pain is spreading. And the questions facing the Bay Area don't have easy answers. How many more families get priced out by assessments they can't afford? How deep does the market need to fall before buyers feel confident enough to step back in? This Bay Area market collapse is just getting started, and I'll be tracking every policy response, every new data point as this unfolds. Subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive, and drop a comment telling me, do you think the Bay Area rebounds, or are we watching the beginning of a full-scale crash that reshapes Northern California forever?